How do we deal with the deficits? Well, we need a balanced approach. And I must tell you, Mr. President, I am proud that Senator Conrad, on behalf of the Democrats on the Budget Committee, has come forward with a credible plan that preserves the priorities of this country to grow and does bring our deficit under control. I'm proud to be a member of the Budget Committee and working with Senator Conrad and working with my Democratic colleagues to put together the plan that Senator Conrad spoke on the floor earlier this week. First, the most important thing about Senator Conrad's budget is that it brings down the deficit by $4 trillion over the next 10 years. It actually has more deficit reduction than the House-passed so-called Rhine plan that the Republicans in the House have sent over to us. The Conrad plan that the Senate Democrats have come up with will bring about more deficit reduction and substantially more deficit reduction than the Bowles-Simpson Commission had recommended, because we're using more accurate numbers. It would stabilize the debt by 2014, and that's a very important point. I think what we're all trying to do is manage our deficit and at the same time help our economy. And that's what the Conrad budget does. It stabilizes the debt by 2014. And it starts with reducing domestic spending. When we look at spending generally and what's happened, we are now spending about 24.1% of our GDP in federal spending. The Conrad budget over 10 years would bring that down to 22.1%, a substantial reduction in our spending programs. Mr. President, let me just tell you that 22.1% would be the same amount of government spending as we were spending during the Reagan presidency. So this is not any radical approach to saying we're going to spend a lot more money. Instead, we're bringing spending down to level when Ronald Reagan was president of the United States. The budget would also deal with our obligations for mandatory spending. Now, I must tell you, I think we took major steps to do that in the last Congress. The passage of the Affordable Care Act helped us to put forward a blueprint to manage our health care costs as a nation by providing universal coverage, by investing in health information technology, by investing in wellness programs, by investing in dealing with reducing readmissions to hospitals, and the list goes on and on and on. We are getting a handle on health care costs. The Congressional Budget Office tells us that the bill we passed in the last Congress will reduce federal spending by over $1 trillion over the next 20 years. By reducing health care costs, we reduce Medicare and Medicaid future responsibilities. So we've already taken some steps, and the Conrad budget that the Democrats in the Senate have brought forward will build on that to bring about additional savings in domestic spending. But the important thing about the budget that Senator Conrad has brought forward, as compared to the Rhine budget, the Republican budget that passed the House, is that the Conrad budget invests in America's future. Because it's balanced, we invest in what's important for job growth in America. We continue to make education a top priority so that American families can afford to send their children to college, so that we invest in improving educational opportunity for all people in our nation. The Conrad budget allows us to invest in innovation so America can continue to lead the world in innovation. That's been where we've created so many jobs. In my own state of Maryland, I look at where the job growth is, and I see small, innovative companies developing ways to protect our nation in cybersecurity. I see them finding ways to deal with solving our energy problems and moving forward with health technology, all in innovation, all from the ability to use our creative genius to keep America in the lead economically. And the Conrad budget allows us to continue our investments at NIH and basic research. The Rhine budget doesn't allow us to do that. Significant cutbacks in all those areas. The Conrad budget, which the House Senate Democrats have brought forward, allows us to invest in our infrastructure, in our roads, our bridges, our transit systems, our water systems, so that America can truly be competitive in the future, creating more jobs for the people of this nation. The budget also deals with our military spending. Let me just tell you one fact I think the people of this nation should understand. America spends as much in defense as almost the entire amount spent by all the other nations of the world. It's difficult to see how our nation can continue to grow the way we want to, with so much of our budget tied up in the defense, in national defense. We need to figure out a way to do this in a better way, and we can save money in all of our spending. Between 1997 and 2011, the defense budget of our country grew from $254 billion a year to $688 billion a year. So what does the Republican budget do? They just increase those numbers dramatically over the next year, 5 years, 10 years. The Democratic proposal recognizes the reality that we can bring our combat troops home from Afghanistan, that we can expect the international community to do more, and we can bring about savings on the military side.